Introducing Pokemon Wartime and Pokemon Peacetime and the Mitallo region, a brand new Pokemon Fakemon region based on Italy. Now this region is created by BuzzRossPKMN and I've linked their Instagram down in the description for you to go and check them out. Now let's jump in and choose our starter Pokemon, which are all based on different forms of Italian artistic expression. The grass starter is Parslio, which is based on a lion, but mainly based on Leonardo da Vinci. I love that it has a little paintbrush for a tail. It looks like it's been dipped in paint as well. Those paint splotches on the tail, but also along the feet and the body of the Pokemon as well. With that bright pink, looks really nice with the green there. It's also got a little leafy mustache too, which is very cute. And then evolves into Rortist, and we can see it's getting that adolescent kind of stage, but also becoming a bit more of an adult line. We can see those claws definitely coming out here. We can also see that big leaf on the head. It's kind of like a little painter's hat, which is kind of cute. Then lastly evolves into Leo Vinci, which becomes a grass and fairy type Pokemon now. Definitely based on an adult line. We can see instead of a mane, it's got a big bushy grassy beard instead. Also those Leonardo da Vinci themes coming through as well. Obviously the whole thing based on a painter. We've almost got a double tail going on here. One tail seems to be the paintbrush and then another has the palette going on with all the paint on it as well. So a very interesting design here. Then next, the fire type starter is called Lupire. Now this is based on a fox, but it's also based on the Carnival of Venice. And the Carnival of Venice is known for its masks and costumes and dances. So we're going to see that a lot as this Pokemon evolves as well. But we can definitely see that white mask look over the face of this fox here. Evolves into Furlana, where we can still see that mask look on the face, but it's definitely got a dress design going on as well for all the dancing from the Carnival of Venice. It's also got some very elegant looking gloves going up the arms of this Pokemon here. And then evolves into Infernavel, which changes to a fire and ghost type Pokemon now. Definitely has a very mysterious look going on, which we definitely see in masked events and parties like this. But overall, it's looking very humanoid, as did the grass starter as well. Then the water type starter is called Merino. Now this is clearly based on a horse, but this is also based on singers on gondolas. And we're going to see the gondola being a very important part of this Pokemon, especially as it evolves. But we can definitely see that singing aspect already coming out with the starter here. With its happy expression, it almost looks like it's singing already. It evolves into Cavernous now, which almost kind of has a bit of a unicorn kind of look because it does have a big horn, but it almost looks more like coral, I guess, instead. But this does have a very interesting expression on its face. It definitely looks like it's up to mischief, I think. That long tail matches the horn that it's got as well. Then lastly evolves into Gondolago, which now changes to a water and dragon type Pokemon. Now I did say that Gondola was going to become a big part of the evolution, and you can see here the shape of the body, especially in how it's standing right now, is definitely shaped like a gondola. The big horn and the tail making the tips of the gondola on each end there as well. I love that all three of these starters have their artistic expression inspirations, but are also some kind of animal as well. So combining those two makes for a really cool Pokemon on each one here. A bit of a tough choice, I think, but I'm going to go for the water type starter. Let me know what your starter choice is down in the comments. All right, let's move into Route 1 next. Hey, real quick, not sponsored or anything like that, but Stream Elements have just released this new program called GrabTap, where you can earn money and gift cards just by playing mobile games, and it gives me a little bit of support too. There are a range of games to choose from, and if you're like me and spend way too long sitting on the can playing on your phone, then you might as well earn some money doing so. Link is down in the description. All you need is a Twitch account, which you haven't got. It's free to sign up, and while you're there, you might as well follow me on Twitch too. Link for that is also down in the description. Okay, back to it. Okay, thanks. Love you. Bye. Thanks. The Route 1 bug for the region is Militia Pillar, which is a pure bug type Pokemon. Now remember, this is called Pokemon Wartime and Pokemon Peacetime, so there's a lot of army and weapon inspirations that we're going to see throughout this region here. This Militia Pillar definitely looks like it's ready for the army, of course, based on an army ant. We can see it's got that army camouflage, it's got a helmet look, it's got like some kind of vest going on there as well. Definitely looks like it's ready for battle. It evolves into our traditional Cocoon Pokemon for a Route 1 bug, which is now Bug and Steel type Pokemon. This is called Kaboom. Definitely based on a grenade here. We can see it within the coloring, but also the shaping and even like that pattern design over it as well. What looks like the pin of the grenade at the top of the Pokemon is actually the antenna that is curved together. And it can actually disconnect its antenna from its body to make a Kaboom. And then lastly evolves into Admirage, which stays as the Bug and Steel type Pokemon. Now this is based on a stealth bomber, and it looks like it's some kind of mosquito or fly or something like that, but obviously has the shaping of the stealth bomber, but it's even dropping off its pre-evolution in Kaboom as well. I love the really red eyes that it's got. Almost looks like it's like a radar inspiration there. Then the Route 1 bird for the region is called Biru Bear, which is a dark and flying type Pokemon. Now, this is based off magpies and their obsessions with shiny objects, and we can see this one has a little Pokecoin as well. This also has a bit of a devilish look because it's also based on thieving.
Attenzione pickpocket!
And then evolves into Magpanair, which is now a little bit more cunning. While the pre-evolution was more as a simple pickpocket, this is one that plans its heists. Next is the Pika clone for the region, which is an electric and grass type Pokemon. This is called Fuwashu. Now, this is based on cotton fields, as you can see with the big fluffy tail, but it's also based on the Apennine hair as well from Italy. Definitely looking a lot like a Pika clone with those cheeks and the coloring and the expression that it's got in the big ears as well. But the little leaves coming off all throughout its body is really cool too. It then evolves into Buyosagi, which is a very fast Pokemon. We can see it definitely looks very slender and very speedy, and as it runs through the crop fields, it actually leaves paths where it goes. But that means that they're very skittish and can be hard to train. Then next we have Beelder, which is a pure bug type Pokemon. This is clearly based on a worker bee, and I think this looks really cute. I love that it's got like a worker helmet on, but I love that it's also got like some kind of, I guess that's honey that's around its neck to protect it, but that coloring and that jelly kind of look is also on the tips of the antenna and the stinger as well. And then evolves into Bikasa, which becomes a bug and flying type Pokemon, clearly based on a beehive, and I love how happy it looks. That little expression is so cute. It's got little holes in its body so the Beelders can fly in and out of it, and we can see the honey on the head and on the tail of this Pokemon as well. Then next is Kabi, which is a pure normal type Pokemon. Now, this is obviously based on a bear that loves its honey, and we can see honey is dripping over the entire body here. It loves honey, and it's probably no surprise that it is the predator of the evolution of the Pokemon that I just showed you, the bee line. It evolves into Bearhive, which now is a normal and bug type Pokemon. Of course, covered in honey, it still loves to eat its honey, but it's also looking a lot like a bee as well. It's got a bee abdomen and a bee stinger and antennae, but it is still that bear, and it still is the predator of the other Pokemon. Now, although it has tiny, tiny wings, it can actually fly. Then next is a Spear, which is a steel and poison type Pokemon. Now, obviously based on a snake, it is also based on a spear, which was a common weapon from the Roman soldiers. I always enjoy my snake Pokemon and Fakemon. I think this looks really cool, having a very spiked point on the tip of its head, but also on the tip of its tail as well. And then evolves into Crossbower, so a crossbow, another weapon very popular within the Roman armies. But I love that the tail and the head work together here. We can see definitely setting up that crossbow kind of shape, and almost got like poisonous, sticky slime, I guess, for the string of the bow there, which is really cool. So a very interesting take on a snake Pokemon where it's not really using its fangs as its main weapon. Then next is Spagella, which is a fire and grass type Pokemon. Obviously a convergent Pokemon to Tangler, but wouldn't it be an Italian region if we didn't have some pasta? We can see the spaghetti and the meatballs all throughout this Pokemon, which looks really, really cool. Of course, it has a new evolution in Sparoth, which now has really large meatballs within those fists that it uses to pummel opposing Pokemon. Next, we have a brand new evolution for Honchkrow, and that is Crofioso, which is a dark and ghost type Pokemon. Instead of the wings being in flight, they've come right down over its shoulders to look like a coat, because this is based on a Mafia boss. This Pokemon looks very cunning, but I absolutely love the talons on its feet there. Those sharp claws are huge and definitely makes it look very deadly, despite the rest of the body just looking very unassuming, I think. Then next we have Eelittle, which is a water and dark type Pokemon. Now this is based on the Mediterranean moray eel. It looks very scared and would rather hide away from battle, using its long body to sort of shield its face there. It evolves into Eelnormus, which is now a completely different vibe. I feel this is like the Magikarp and the Gyarados of the region. This thing is really long and spiked, but look at the size of that jaw. That's almost like an alligator jaw. Filled with teeth and filled with spikes, it definitely looks a lot more aggressive and more willing to battle than its pre-evolution. This Pokemon has overcome its former fears and is now known as the Terror of the Deep. I absolutely love this Munchlax convergent Pokemon. This is called Crushlax and is a fairy and flying type Pokemon. Completely different vibe to our normal Munchlax, but this is based on a cherub, and Cupid, the god of love, is also a cherub as well. So it's got that very pink, feminine kind of look. It's got the little fairy wings and the cloud around its waist as well, almost looking like a bit of a skirt. This looks so cute, and even on the top of the head, looks like it's got a big heart shape there. It evolves into a Dorlax, still continuing that vibe, but obviously much, much larger now. Its little love heart shapes on its head almost look like little hair buns, and it's got really tiny wings and that massive cloud all around its body as well. This looks adorable. I absolutely love it. It's so unexpected for a Snorlax, I think. Then next is Tower Gas, the Ghost and Ice type Pokemon. Now this is based on an ice block, but it's becoming a tower. And we can see that the ice is melting as well. So you might be able to have a bit of a guess what its evolution is based on. It evolves into Melt Tower, and of course it is based on the Leaning Tower of Pisa. That ice is actually melting and causing the tower to fall over. I'm also getting vibes of like Sandygast and Palosand here as well. I also love that it's got the 2 buildings on the side to act as arms. I think that works really well. If it was just the tower on its own, I don't think it would be as cool, but this is really, really cool. A quick reminder to subscribe to the channel if you have not before for lots more Pokemon and Fakemon videos. Also a reminder to check out BuzzRossPKMN on Instagram, which is linked in the description. I've been following this region for a while now as the artist was posting their work in my Discord, but there's so many designs that we won't have time to see them all today, so make sure to check out Instagram for a lot more Italian Fakemon. But on to the next Pokemon, which is Wistonor, which is a pure fairy type Pokemon, and this is a conversion of Whismur. So similar vibes to Whismur, where its voice is a lot of the power that it has, but this is actually based on opera singers now, and in particular Pavarotti. The music notes making its ears, but a little tuxedo look as well over its body is very, very cute. Evolves into Shoutenor, and now we can see it's obviously doing some singing right now, but its teeth have made the piano keys as well, which is kind of creepy looking, but also kind of clever, I think. And then its final evolution is Exemptenor. Much, much larger now. Also got the hair of Pavarotti being very dark. It's definitely doing some opera singing. We can see that mouth is taking up the majority of its face there. And I think this is a good homage to Pavarotti. I think it works really well. Then next is Sanofi, which is an electric and ghost type Pokemon. So in Galar, which is based on the UK, we have Sinistea based on cups of tea, very clearly needed in a UK based region. And in an Italian based region, we need some coffee. So we have Sanofi here as well, which is very similar to our Sinistea. I love that it's an electric type because obviously the caffeine of coffee perks you up and gives you energy. So I think that just works really well. It evolves into Coffee Geist, now looking a lot more like the kettle. I love the little legs that it's got. I think that looks really cute, but the very energetic, ghostly Pokemon that's coming out the top of the kettle there. Even the little sparks coming off definitely makes it look like it's full of caffeine. Then next we have Tamumi, which is a pure grass type Pokemon. Now this is a conversion of Goomy, and it's giving me the same kind of vibes as our Tangler conversion as well. Of course, this is based on a tomato, and it looks very, very happy. I absolutely love it. It's so cute. Now it's a conversion to Goomy, but it does look a lot like Applin. It could easily be a conversion to Applin as well. Not so much now when it evolves into Tomagu, which is a pure grass type Pokemon. Definitely got that same shaping to Sliggoo, and it's completely covered in a tomatoey sauce with tomatoes on the head and on the back there as well. Then lastly evolves into Maranudra, which becomes a grass and dragon type Pokemon. Now a Gudra conversion has now got that typical Italian grandmother kind of look here, completely covered in marinara sauce. It's got that bit of an apron going on. It's got a sort of an angry expression. I think it works really well here. Next is Daggle, the water and steel type Pokemon. Now this is based on a little dagger, but also of course a fish as well. I love that the entire fish head makes that kind of dagger shape, but it still looks really happy despite being based on a weapon. I love its evolution though in Sea Spada. This is based on a sailfish now. As we can see that rapier look on the tip of its nose rather than being just a dagger, but it's also got like a massive spiky bladed saw look on its back for the sail there. Now this Pokemon is known as a vigilante of the sea, and it attacks boats that are trying to overfish the waters. Then next is Caladove, the fairy and flying type Pokemon. Now this is the Pokemon that would help Nurse Joy in the Pokemon centers, which doesn't surprise us. Look at this thing, it looks like a nurse, but this is also based on Caladrius. Now there was a Roman myth of a white bird that was able to fly into the king's house and heal any illnesses or ailments that they would have. So it makes sense that that white bird would become the Pokemon that would help Nurse Joy. Then next is Goslin, the dragon and fairy type Pokemon. Now this is the pseudo legendary of the region. Now this is based on the Capitoline geese. So one night Rome was getting attacked, and as the attackers crept in and no one could see them, these geese actually started honking at them, which alerted the Romans and ended up saving the city. Now because they saved their life, they were very revered, and we've got our pseudo legendary here to show that. It evolves into Junice, which is now looking much more aggressive compared to its pre-evolution. We can see it's got very sharpened elements to its beak there, but if you look carefully at the shoulders of it, it looks kind of interesting. It almost looks like there's heads growing out of its shoulders there. And that's because of its evolution. It evolves into Gandrus, which is now based on a Hydra. Those other two heads from the shoulders have grown into its own heads now, and is now looking very, very deadly. Although it does have a bit of a cap on, it's also based on Mother Goose. So those kind of three elements of inspirations make for a very interesting Pokemon here. It looks very aggressive and very dangerous, with that middle head being the mother head, and the colors of the mother goose as well is very cool, I think. Next, we're going to go into the 2 box art legendaries for Pokemon Wartime and Pokemon Peacetime. Now, the Pokemon Wartime box art legendary is Fuocomier, the Steel and Fire type Pokemon. Now, this is based on Mars, the god of war. Now, Mars's sacred animal is the wolf, so that's why we've got a wolf inspiration here. We can definitely see that wolf head. Now, this Pokemon looks very metallic. It's actually become a war machine. That armor all over its body, those giant cannons that it's got on its arms, the big shoulder spikes coming out as well. This thing is ready to battle and looks very, very deadly. Now, being based off Mars and the god of war, this Pokemon is very offensive, which is different to the other box art legendary. The box art legendary for Pokemon Peacetime is Aquamere, which is a steel and water type Pokemon. Now, this is based off Neptune, the god of the sea, and Neptune's chariot was pulled by Hippocampi, so that's why the animal here is the horse head representing the Hippocampi and representing Neptune. Now, while the other Pokemon was very offensive and had lots of weaponry, this Pokemon has lots of defensive capabilities, and as you can see, those arms have massive shields on them as well. 2 very cool legendaries here. I think I prefer Aquamere, so I'm going to choose Pokemon Peacetime, but let me know in the comments which one you choose. Next is the mythical Pokemon for the region. There's actually lots more legendary and lots of mythical Pokemon in this region, but I'm just going to show you the one today. Now, see, Zempro has lots of different forms, and each one changes its secondary typing. So, for example, this is the Steel and Grass type one, but I'll flick through all the other different ones as well, which actually change the design of the Pokemon, but also that typing. Each time the form changes, obviously the coloring is changing, the sword is changing, but also the animal that's coming out of that sword as its spirit animal is changing as well. Each one of these looks phenomenal, but of course, this is based on Julius Caesar, one of the most famous emperors in all of Rome. Now, with that inspiration, it has a similar role here in the Matallo region. It was one of the first leaders of all of the Matallo region and can actually communicate with humans. And is also known as a noble leader and a very strong warrior. I have absolutely loved going through Mitallo region with you, and I hope you've enjoyed it too. Here are some of my favorite Pokemon from the region, and let me know yours down in the comments below. Check out some more Fakemon regions in these videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks, guys.